Michelle and Robert, let me start with you because when I woke up this morning, the news seemed tailor-made to your show. The news about the Supreme Court, look at Robert, Robert's already there. The Supreme Court letting the restrictive Texas abortion law go into effect. And I immediately thought of the good fight. Are you already thinking of how to work this into season 6? And how do you decide which headline or event is worthy of a storyline in the show?
I'll answer for myself. I mean, I was thinking about it in bed this morning too, and the answer was yes, I'm thinking about how to do it, but I don't know how to do it in a way that doesn't seem so obviously evil. That usually we prefer storylines with some gray in it, and I'll be damned if I can find the gray here. But Robert, perhaps you can.
We're at night we hear our cell phones ding, and then we reach for it and go, oh shit, oh shit. So there's always something that is like, oh, that's a point. I think it's the bounty. The law as bounty hunters is crazy, and a little bit like what we did with this, court that is out on its own, creating its own law. There's this difficulty of this balkanization of the law in America that is scary, even irrespective of abortion. I don't quite know how the Supreme Court lets this ride, because it just, I'm sorry, that's too much politics and not enough entertainment. So,
well, you know what? Well, let me ask you this then. Because Michelle, you just said, there's not enough gray in the Texas story. I'm wondering, were there headlines or storylines in the past that were big conversation in the nation, but you passed on weaving them into the show because there wasn't enough gray?
The one area that we find very difficult to find gray is immigration. We've done a few immigration stories, but they risk becoming earnest very quickly.
The real thing we're against is preaching to the choir, and there's a real tendency in shows or in subjects that you can't find both sides of, because what's great in the show is that people usually are arguing both sides of an issue.
Mm-hmm. And we're going to get to, and that's especially so when you get to issues of race and gender and class in the show. But Christine, I want to come to you, still sticking to the Supreme Court, because in season 5, you literally have fireside chats with RBG, with Ruth Bader Ginsburg. How do you think a conversation with her would go today, given the news from the Supreme Court?
Well, I read Justice Sotomayor's dissent at about 3 o'clock in the morning, and I think Ruth Bader Ginsburg would pretty much articulate that. She would be appalled. But yes, we have Elaine May playing Ruth Bader Ginsburg, so it's a double treat to have that intellect in play as a character and as an actress. So I hope we get to it next season. But the news is just traveling so fast now that today's story, it could be so much worse, or it could change, in another few months. So, the Kings are brilliant at not only keeping a pace, but almost looking to the future where these arguments are going.